One thing being a sugar baby taught me about being independent was that independence is not about doing everything yourself. It's about knowing when to ask for help and knowing who to ask the help from. Hey lovelies, I am back with another video. My name is Nia Sinai, and at this channel I have finally figured out my niche. Yes, if you're new here, I've been making videos about spirituality and personal development for the last few months now, and I have finally decided that that is going to be my niche, giving advice to people that might be in my situation, people that are interested in my life or whatever, interested in my advice. And this is really just a place where you can come, sit down, have a nice girl chat, some intelligent conversations about things that are on our minds, well, at least on my mind. I wanted to talk a little bit about the experiences that I had as being a part-time sugar baby. I brought it up in my last video where I talked about the 5 things that I learned my first 5 years of being an adult, and I wanted to kind of explore more on that because I think that time, being in that kind of arrangement, it gave me a lot of wisdom as well. It did teach me a lot about being independent and what independence truly looks like. When I got into this relationship, this arrangement, I wasn't looking for, extra income. I wasn't looking for a glamorous lifestyle. I wasn't looking for anything like that. I was struggling financially around this time. I had a job that didn't pay very well. I had rent that was above my financial means, and I so badly wanted to prove to my mom specifically that I was a true adult. I was independent and I didn't need any help. I was 19 at the time. I had moved away from home about a year ago. Me and my mom's relationship was very rocky within that year, and I just didn't want to ask her for help. I just did not want to ask for help. And some girls at work were talking about how they had kind of these sugar daddy relationships with other men, typically older men. Like, we had all been kind of in the same boat where we weren't making that much money and we were struggling, but some of these girls had nice clothes, had a car, and some of the other girls did not. And I was one of the other girls, and I would think to myself, like, what are they doing? And just hanging out with them a lot more, going out, doing all that stuff with these particular girls. It started to dawn on me, like, they had people financially supporting them. Sometimes it was parents, and I didn't have the luxury of having that, unfortunately. But a lot of these girls had sugar daddies. They had people that they would go hang out with maybe once a week, and he'd give them like $500 to $1,000 just for that one hangout, and they'd be set. And that's why they had all the nice clothes and the jewelry and the cars and everything like that. And I was just like, let me get into this sugar baby gig. Like, what? It's such a naive thing to kind of think about, but like, I was like, what harm could it do if everyone is doing it? I met the guy and we started that relationship. So for a while he helped me out, but it was delaying the inevitable, which is that I needed to move back in with my mom. And I knew that, but I just my pride just would not let me admit defeat. I put my stability and my lifestyle pretty much in the hands of him, because there are some times without him I would not have made it to the next month. But again, I could not let my pride die and just ask my mom for help. It felt embarrassing to admit that, in a way that I felt like I had failed as an adult, as a woman. It it was embarrassing to have to ask my mom to move back in, to ask her for help, to ask anyone for help. So I convinced myself that I was being independent. I was just doing it however I could. I was getting it out the mud. I was on top of it. I was hustling. Like, this was me being independent. But the truth is, I wasn't. My livelihood was dependent on someone else's livelihood, whether they still had money to give to me, whether they still wanted to give me the money, whether they still found me attractive or not, whether they still want me around this week or next week or stuff like that, because they're not going to give you money if they didn't see you, right? So it's dependent on that. It's like there's so many variable factors when it comes to this relationship, and if you're already struggling, it can get extremely stressful. Independence is freedom, and if your bills and housing and sometimes food are dependent on somebody else, you're not truly free. I think online we hear about the bags and the clothes and the fancy dinners and the soft life, and then for me specifically, I saw real world examples and girls I knew at work, and it makes you think that there's no cons to an arrangement like this. Not that the con is bad, it's just there's a lot of moving parts in certain situations that you didn't calculate, and now you're sitting here like, wait, I didn't sign up for this. And it's like, no babe, you signed up for this when you decided to move in this direction. I'm not saying that these arrangements don't bring in a sort of wealth and luxury for people, because they clearly do for a lot of women. And if you're in a relationship like this and it's healthy and you are in a good place as well as they are in a good place, and you feel like it's a healthy dynamic, then more power to you, because I'm totally not here to judge. There's a lot of times where an arrangement like this can be healthy for both parties. And if you're looking for that kind of relationship that is beneficial to both parties and is healthy, I don't judge you for that either, because everyone deserves to be in a relationship where they feel seen, heard, and appreciated. But I do think not a lot of people talk about being in those situations, not for pleasure, but when you're trying to survive the next payday. Survival doesn't feel luxurious. It doesn't feel like it's giving a soft life energy. It's stressful. It's strenuous. It would keep me up at night most nights, because there were so many things that were out of my control, and I couldn't see a way out. Well, there was a way out, of course there was, but it was like my mind wouldn't allow me to see that way out, because there's so many things telling me that if I asked for help, I was officially a failure. I was a loser. I couldn't go for help. She wouldn't help me anyways because of all the things that were said and all the things that were done. And the mind is a very powerful thing, and sometimes it could be your biggest enemy and biggest trickster. And due to my mental health at the time, yes, I did not see another way to make it out alive. Eventually, the relationship came and it ran its course, and I ended up meeting another guy who helped a little bit, but that was very short-lived. And the biggest lesson I learned throughout my whole experience is that asking for help is not a sign of weakness. It is sometimes the smartest thing that you can do, and it is your biggest strength. And sometimes asking for help and knowing who to ask is the best thing that you can do, the smartest thing that you can do, because maybe you need to stop what you're doing and ask assistance from your friends, your family, the government. You know, you pay taxes to it. If you need some food stamps or some housing assistance, like, it's there for you. It should be easily accessible to you, but you know, sometimes it's not. But look for these resources that are out there for you, and don't put yourself in a position that you might not be ready for, all in the name of being independent and trying to stay afloat. Sometimes the strongest thing is to call your mom and apologize. Sometimes the strongest thing is to tell a friend what's been going on so you can relieve some stress and burdens that have been holding you back. Being vulnerable and opening up can not only get you closer to your correct path and the right answer, but can, you know, build a relationship back that you thought was lost. It takes strength to open up and let people in, despite what the world will try to tell you. You're not weak for admitting that you're human. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you guys so much for being here, for listening, and, you know, just being here and listening. Thank you. Thank you so much. I feel your energy in this space right with me, and I hope you feel mine. And I want to thank you guys and wish you guys a great rest of your day. Bye, lovelies.